first, I always want to, say we have to start a prayer to the ancestors.
Ashe.
So we're gonna start with the prayer to the ancestors, and then we're gonna take it away from there. Okay.
Ashe.
All right. So okay, we got DJ Quaco join. Peace and blessings, DJ Quaco. All right, let's take it away. Before we begin, I honor the ancestors. I call upon the mothers, the elders, and the ones who walk before us. I call upon the shrine of Africa, whose fire has never gone out. May this space be blessed. May the words spoken here today and the future uplift, heal, and bring clarity. May the celebrities who share their stories find courage, and may their testimonies inspire all to listen. Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay. Now, I want to welcome everybody to this Stars of the Shrines, this is Spirit Celebrity podcast, okay? But in my eyes, everybody's a star. Everybody's a celebrity because we got a billion stars in the cosmos and everybody is one. So it's just not for, the celebrities, it's for celebrities that all of us have within us being stars. So I want to welcome our Chief Orisa Gbemi to the podcast, and I want to thank you for taking the time to come in and join us. How you doing today?
Peace and blessings. I'm doing phenomenal. How you doing, Wunam?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited.
Mm.
You
Ashe.
had me on your podcast. I had to bring you on mine. You deserve recognition too, don't you think so?
Ashe. Oh, I'll take it. If you're gonna give it to me, I'm gonna take it.
Doing the good things that you do for the community. Putting in the work of the ancestors. I'm really
Yes.
happy to have you on, and I want you to share your story with the listening audience about who you are, where you came from, and let's start with one question. How did you get into African spirituality?
Whew. Well, well, first and foremost, I want to give a thanks and appreciation and gratitude for the opportunity because you've been doing this work long days ago, man. And matter of fact, I think I literally just responded to a comment to a sister today that was pretty much just giving singing your praises for the work that you've done for her and her family. And she was just saying how like you're a real deal powerful healer, with the traditional spiritual systems and how much that you've helped her. So she was like, I want to share. This is a real testimonial. So I was like, that's dope. So I literally just responded to that today. So with that, I think really just being, I would say shout out to Oli Matutu. I just left the Ashe podcast with a show dedicated to the ancestors, and she was saying she felt like she was connected at birth, like as far as her journey. And I would say the same about myself because from a child, as long as I can remember, I feel like I was connected to the elders more so
Hmm.
than the ancestors.
Hmm.
But if you're connected to the elders, I feel like you still are in some different forms or fashions connected to the ancestors because they're on their way back to the ancestral realm, and babies they just came from the ancestral realm. And so I've always from a little child remember having a good strong connection or like magnetism to elders, and then also babies and animals, but more so to the elders. So I feel like that was like my preschool, that I had no idea would eventually 30 plus years later would bring me to a much deeper level of connection to African spirituality. So I would say really from birth, but I think throughout life and trials, tribulations, and adversity is what kind of really, I guess, kind of helped me stumble along the path of locking it in regards to the
The
tradition.
tradition. Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Now, on this podcast, I like to ask a series of questions. I'm up now. They want to start typing a series of questions. Let me turn this down because they're texting like crazy. Um, One of the things I like to ask, I know you do a lot in the community, and I know that your involvements also involve African spirituality. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I think for me, just listening to spirit, being obedient, in regards to like when spirit speaks and communicates, because I was just sharing this with somebody earlier today too, because I think a lot of us, we have, we have a way of like deferring our ashe or deferring our connection or deferring our connectability to spirit or to the creator by looking at somebody else outside of us as some sort of superhero or some sort of, overarching entity that can do something that we can't do for ourselves. But
Right.
what I found is during my darkest and hardest and toughest moments in life, I couldn't count on nobody else. I couldn't count on nobody I saw on TV. I couldn't count on some of my heroes of a Malcolm X or anybody. Like I couldn't count on nothing and nobody but me.
Right.
But what that did was that brought me to a place that I feel like the creator had to sit me down or make me realize and recognize in the hardest, darkest, most challenging moments that you don't need anything else. You just need to stay true to you. You need to connect with you and who and what I created you to be. And you need to work on that. And that's going to strengthen your connection to me. And
Right.
so when that happened, I was like, yo, this is dope. This is deep. But for me, I mean, honestly, it took for me to go through hell, to lose everything that I worked for, to lose at situations and moments and aspects of life that I was so accustomed to winning at, and to be humbled. Because one thing I know is like nobody's perfect, and we can't win everything. You know what I mean? So it's like when I had to take a couple of L's that I don't call losses, but more so lessons, I feel like that's when the creator really allowed me to kind of, I guess, reintroduce self to self and really take that know thyself acronym or that phrase or that algorithm, that 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 term, like, and really work on learning to know thyself, because I feel like the more we learn to know ourselves, the more we can learn to know and connect with the creator.
Okay. And now, out of curiosity, because you got some listeners in here, who would you call the creator?
I mean, honestly, I don't feel like there's a word or a phrase that can really quantify what I consider to be the creator.
Hmm.
But with that, I'll say the universal prime creator, like the creator of all that is, all that was, all that ever will be, which is the multiverse, the infinite, like boundless multiverse, not just universe, but multiverse, because I feel like there's multiple universes, infinite universes. And I feel like that creator, whoever created he, whoever created that, whoever the creator is of all of that, like I don't think there's any words or anything that we can put into a definition to quantify that. So
Oh,
yeah, that would be my answer, the universal
okay.
prime creator.
Okay. I agree. I like that. I like that. It's a lot of people don't realize that it is just that. And I'm gonna say it again.
Hmm.
It is just that, right?
I sure.
Nothing
Hmm.
more, right? So yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. All right. So tell me a little bit about your spiritual practice today? Because I know you deal with a lot of clients too. I know you do a lot of spiritual work as well. So, what does your personal spiritual practice look like today in this time right now? Because I know you stay busy like me. So, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, man. Shout out to DJ Kiko. I don't know how many other tribes is in here, like tribe members in here, but I know I heard you say his name. But shout out to him too, man. Appreciate you for joining us, family. But man, shoot, waking up. That's the first thing. Waking,
Uh-huh.
like for real, literally. And if I'm gonna be all the way blunt raw, waking up and then depending on the mood he in, smacking my big crazy little dog up beside his head on my way to my ancestral shrine. And then I go to the ancestral shrine and holler at my ancestors and just give thanks and gratitude to them for all that they've done, to help me to, just me being here, and delivering on our ancestral promise. And then, giving thanks, and if most of the time it's not a lot, I give thanks that it's not a lot that I really got to holler at them in regards to like assistance or help, but so on a normal day, I'll salute them and just speak to them and give thanks and gratitude. And then from there, I make my way to my front door. I go and grab my little shot glass that I keep there by SU. And then I come back to the counter in the kitchen, man. I top him off with some OT, and then I get at the him. And then from there, it all depends on, I guess, what day it is. So like today, those who practice the Ifa Isheshe traditions today is Oshe Obatala. And so that's my head Orisha, that's my father, that's my Baba. So I
Hmm.
came to him, gave him some fresh, clean water and cooked him up, a little bit of white rice and put in a bowl. And then, attended to my Obatala shrine, gave that to him. And then shoot, from there, I went into the community, going on online and start working on, putting different things into the Patreon community to help out the the channel members, but also the people who are in the Patreon community that are trying to further their journey and further their path with connecting with their ancestors or connecting with Ifa or Orisha, etc. So yeah, it went from like waking up, giving thanks and gratitude, and then pretty much, venerating the shrines, being a keeper of the shrines, and then and shout out to your show. It's the Stars of the Shrines?
Yeah, the stars of the shrines. Yep.
Yes, sir. Listen, I ain't gonna say I'm a star, but I damn sure am a attendee or a participator in my shrine. So,
Hold on, wait a minute, because we all stars. Let me tell you something. Yes, I deal with celebrities, and I've been dealing for years, but I don't treat them no different than I treat any person that's not a celebrity. Because the way I feel about it, we all stars. There's a billion stars in the sky, and like I tell celebrities that I deal with, you are just one of the stars of many, right? So
mm,
yes, you are a star. You got the African experience, the spiritual experience. I love your show. I want to commend you for that show. I'm happy you brought it up because we're in a time right now where that's needed.
mm,
There's so many people that's waking up where they deal with Ifa or a Khan. There's
mm,
so many people that's waking up and getting into the African spirituality experiences. You know what I mean? So your
mm-hmm.
show is very, very much important. Okay. So let's not make a mistake. And yes, you are a star too. So with saying that moving forward, what I do want to know, how do you balance your public life because you are a star because you got your show? People love your show. As a matter of fact, I got a lot of people that came to me from your show, so that means you out there. You one of the ones, okay? How do you balance that with your private spiritual journey though? Because I find that let me tell you something. We do this 24/7. This is
Yeah,
all that we do. This is how
yeah.
I pay my bills. Doing readings, doing spiritual work, doing. So I mean, I'm constantly doing spiritual work. So a lot of people say, when do you get a break, right? So I want to know, when
Mm.
do you get a break? How do you deal with this personal experience and this personal journey with spirituality? Because you might do offerings to Obatala for some of your clients, but you able to take that time and commune with him or commune with the other Orisas to do work? Tell me a little bit about that.
Whew. Yeah, it's a challenge. Like I ain't gonna front and lie, like it's a challenge because I'm gonna say as far as I know, I'm a second generation, bona fide hustler. I can't remember who had that song. I think it might have been like, Young Buck from, or Lloyd Banks from G Unit
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. But one of them had a song called Bona Fide Hustler, but I love that song. But that's who I am. I'm a hustler. And I give credit to my moms and pops for that because they hustlers. So it's like, it's in my blood both ways through and through. All I know is to hustle. And for me, starting out in life, my first hustles in life wasn't necessarily. I feel like I guess it was positive because they put money in my pocket, but based upon, I guess, a societal construct or lens, it might have not been considered positive because at some point in life, as a teenager, I did have a business that was a very successful, lucrative business, but it was at that time something that was considered to be illegal. But all of a sudden now, because certain people or groups that have alphabets attached to the name figured out a way that they can monetize it, now it's legal, but they're making billions of. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. But I was able to learn how to hustle
Mm-hmm.
and to make money by knowing how to deal with people at a young age. And so that kind of always stuck with me, even when I left that part or that phase of life alone and started working in the corporate world. But what I found is that I love people. And
Mm-hmm.
so when spirit led me into my path, with Ifa Sheshe and spirituality, the Kemetic cultures and practices, metaphysics, etc., it taught me a valuable lesson that, no matter what business you're in, you're still in the world of people business. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I realized that, and spirit led me to my path of spirituality, and I learned that I could be someone who, could be a healer, somebody who could help people or heal people or protect them in certain situations or from certain situations, or to be able to, administer certain types of prescriptions or certain types of, rituals that can really help them. It didn't take long for me to go all in. And so once I realized that and, knew that it was effective and that it was able, people really could benefit from it, it was like,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. So now to make a long story short,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't figured it out. Honestly, and I mean, shoot, one of the messages I got from you and Baba, like, was like, yo, you need to sit your ass down. Like, you need to chill. You're doing too much. You're working too much. And that's true. But I can't lie and say that I do that because I care about the people who I've been blessed to serve. I was born to serve these people, and I take that serious. I don't play with that,
Right.
and so I ain't gonna lie, that's something I gotta work on. I'm working on it now. We just spoke a few days ago. I'm like, yo, I'm like, listen, I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna keep it real with you because I ain't gonna lie because I know you can tell, you can see anyway. So I'm not even
Yeah,
gonna play
yeah.
that game. So to be honest, I'm working on it. I really am. I feel like I'm getting better, but I got a long ways to go. So I'm still working on that part. I think.
Let me give you the secret to that. The secret to that is going to your ancestors. And
Mm,
you got to tell your ancestors, you have to have a conversation with them, just you and them. And you
mm,
ask your ancestors to guide your path, and you ask your ancestors to help you to be able to balance that out. I had to do
uh,
that, right? Because everybody in the mother's pulling on my energy. So I went to the ancestors and said, look here. Yeah, look up to like I'm talking to you. Look here, ancestors.
yeah,
I need your help now. Because
yeah,
everybody's pulling on my energy and I want to help. And I think I can save the world, but I can't, ancestors. So do me a
mm,
favor, please. Help me find a way to balance it out. Right?
mm, mm-hmm,
And I ain't even exaggerating. 3 days later, ancestors start saying, look here, do this, do this, do this. So, oh, do only 3 readings a day. Don't do 10 readings a day. And then skip over this day. Don't do none that day. And
mm,
just pretty much guided me on how to navigate my whole spiritual experience. You know what I mean?
mm,
So you might have to
mm-hmm,
go to your ancestors in that one and tell them, look here, help out a little bit now. Because they will. A lot of times we sleep on the egungun, as you all call them in Yoruba, but we do need not to sleep on them because that's what they're there for. They're even more important than any other reasons that you deal with. The egungun ancestors are always going to be number one. So, yeah, go to your ancestors, my brother. You'll see. They're going to come help you.
I said.
I say. All right, so,
Yeah, I'm gonna
so,
do it too. Cause listen, I need help.
yeah, you
For
think
real,
I'm
for
playing?
real.
I am not.
No, I
Let me
don't.
tell you. And I'm going to share this other real experience with you too. When
Hmm.
my mother, I lost my mother in 2010, and then I was taking care of my grandmother, my mother's mother, and then I took care of my father. I lost my grandmother right after that, and then 6 months later, I lost my father. And what's crazy is, because I am traditional. I'm born raised in tradition. It didn't affect me the way some people thought it was, but I had to go outside and I had to go by this big tree that used to be in front of my house. And I said to my ancestors, I get it now. So where do we go from here? Because I didn't think there was a burden, but I had a lot of, on my plate, taking care of 4 kids. My sister died. I was taking care of her kids and raising them with my 2 kids. So there was a lot going on and it was stressful. I ain't gonna lie. But I got through it because of my ancestors. And then when they transitioned, I went to that tree. I said, I get it now. So they came to me and they said, the tree, you begin the matriarch now, right? So when I tell you, I didn't do nothing without my ancestors or the Egungun. I did not. And every time they have never failed me. So yeah, go to them for some help. Okay? They coming.
Yes, I say. Absolutely. I most certainly will too.
Yep. Tell me. Okay, so now let's talk about, let's see. Your show has become very popular, and I'm proud of you again. And I'm so happy that you started because it's much needed.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Um, Mostly you talk about, different topics. You have some very good topics on your show. And I know you cover things from metaphysics always come to the comedic sciences, which a lot of people don't understand. That's all part of African spirituality. Can you touch a little bit about how you structured your show?
Yeah, it's funny, literally by everything you just said, just listening to spirit. And that's one of the things where I feel like I was blessed because I didn't have to go to the ancestors. I feel like they came to me
Hmm.
and they summoned me. Like they pretty much said, look, you need to start the show. And honestly, I wasn't ready. I ain't even gonna lie, I wasn't ready. And they was like, yeah, I won't give a damn about that. You need to start the show. so, and so it
Hmm.
kind of went back and forth of, I can't remember the exact timeline to be honest, but I just remember that I shared my third podcast. So I don't know how many people know that, but I started two other ones before that. And
Hmm.
where I started those, I was still working a 9 to 5. So, and then I'm a father and husband and all that stuff. That, it was like, there's a lot to handle. And so it just didn't work out, the way I wanted it to. But
Hmm.
with Ashe, it was different because like I started preparing for it before I went to Nigeria last March to go into E5 because I knew I wouldn't say failures, but I knew the unsuccessful attempts on the first two was
Mhm.
something I didn't want to deal with again. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it different. This time I'm gonna record, have about 3 to 6 months worth of content already prepared, recorded, ready to go before I even, start this show. But I'll be damned if like right after I got back from Nigeria last year, March last year, they was like, nah, we ain't no, nah, you gonna start the show now. And it was just like, I learned my lesson real early in my journey about like not listening to old dudes or not listening to consultation messages when they come by having to pay a shit ton of money to get out of a situation that I had a warning for, but I was supposed to do a spiritual protection bath before I went on vacation, and I didn't do it not because I wasn't listening, but because I didn't know how serious it was, and I just didn't manage my time properly. So I say all that to say that was my first real warning of when spirit tell you to do something, well, you better do it because you don't want to deal with the consequences. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And all that comes with not. So when they got on my ass and told me I had to start it, they was like, yo, you need to get this going. And I'm like, I'm not fully ready, da da da. Like, I'm going back and forth. It's like an internal telepathic conversation in my mind or with my Ori. But long story short, after a couple of times, okay, let me start this thing. So I started it,
Uh-huh.
and the rest is history. But I say all that to
Okay.
say, it started with the focus on Ifa Sheshe, but at the same time, I had to share me in a way that I'm not comfortable because I'm a very private person, but at the same time, the creator showed me that it ain't about you, it's about the people that you were born to serve. So I had to kind of come out of my own personal space of being private and go into a public, atmosphere to
Mhm.
share my gift and to share, what spirit led me to do. So it was uncomfortable because I don't like the limelight. I don't like being on TV. I don't like I really don't. I swear to God, like, I prefer not to. I'll do the work
Uh-huh.
all day, but that's just not my thing because
Right.
I believe in the work,
Right.
and I
Right.
believe in my people. Like, I was just telling some of my clients, I love y'all. Like, I care about y'all for real. Like, this ain't a game for me. It ain't about money. It's
Uh-huh.
about, doing my part, but healing and, serving and protecting our people. So a long story short, spirit kind of just told me like, look, you got to start it. And so I just was listening and being obedient, kind of like what you telling me I need to do with the answers, so I can give me some some time to chill and unplug.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, okay, so but that's gonna what you just said is gonna lead into our next question. What do you feel is the role that African spirituality, period, whether you deal with Ifa, Akan, shamanism, whatever you want to call it, what do
Mhm.
you feel is the role of African spirituality in healing our communities today? Because I know here in Atlanta, everybody and their mothers into well, mostly Ifa. You don't find too many
Right.
people that's tied to the traditions I am in northern Ghana and being born into the traditions of
Right.
Cabo Verde. But you have a few people that deal with the Khan here, that deal with the Fafa tribe like I do, but you don't have many. Everybody deals with Ifa. So I like to say in a whole because everybody's doing some type of work for the community. How do you feel? I mean, what do you feel? Is it healing our communities today? Do you see a difference? Because I know you're down in Florida, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Is it making a difference in the communities in Florida as well? Because there's a lot of spirituality that goes on down there too. But I know most of it is
Right.
dominated by the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me. So, what was the initials? Just so I make sure I could answer it the right way. Was it Where do I see
Okay,
African
the role
spirituality
of
going into
African
the?
spirituality in healing our communities today.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it has a very significant role because what I found is that Ifa is such a vast science and sacred system that just like when you asked me the question about the creator and like what would I call the creator, I really don't feel like we can really quantify Ifa either when it comes to what the impact that it's having on the community because Ifa has an impact on the world or the universe for that matter because
Right,
I feel like it's limitless as well,
right.
and but in the tradition we have 256 Odu, and from those 256 Odu, I believe there's 1600, I believe, verses and stanzas that accompany all of
Mhm,
those 256 Odu. So within those 256 Odus, there are 1600, messages, verses, or stanzas that are attributed to each one of them. That is a very, very vast amount of wisdom, knowledge,
mhm.
understanding, overstanding, understanding, etc. So it's like, I feel like it's impacting not just our community, but the world. And I think is so powerful and so vast that it's doing it whether people know it or not. And I'll say that we can use E5 and other people don't even need to know that we're actually using it. And a perfect example of that is I've had a client who, they had a friend that they had a dream about.
Mm-hmm.
And the friend, it was I think it was a pretty scary dream for the client or whatever, but the friend isn't into the tradition. But my client was like, they wanted them to know about the dream because they felt like that could have helped them in some sort of way or some shape, form, or fashion,
Uh-huh.
in real life or in the living world, what have you. So my response to the client was like, okay, you can share the dream and you can share the significance and the symbolism in it, but you don't have to tell them that it's Ifa because they're not part of the tradition. Don't want no parts of it. I was like, all you gotta do is give the message without giving the names of the deities, without giving, you know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? Like, because you're
Exactly.
still working with the elements of nature, the elements of, you know what I'm saying, spirit. So anybody's gonna listen to something that they know is beneficial from spirit because it's gonna resonate to their spirit.
Right.
So, so I feel like it's making a significant, huge impact. And I feel like it's doing a phenomenal job in doing so. But I also, I'm gonna say this too, because one thing about me, I'm gonna speak my heart, I'm gonna speak my truth, and it might ruffle feathers, it might piss people off, but I'm cool with that because I know where it's coming from and I know who sent me to speak that truth. So I do feel like there's a lot of people who's taking advantage of it and
Mm-hmm.
who's using it as a way or a means to be culture vultures and like feed on the ignorance of our people, just like a vulture would feed on the carcass of a dead animal, because they know that in the metaphorical speaking term, that vulture knows that that dead carcass isn't going to wake up. It's not going to do anything to defend itself, right? So I
Right.
feel like those predators who have that mentality in our culture, they're doing the same thing because they feel like the client doesn't have the ability to wake up and check them or protect themselves or,
Yeah.
stop them from feeding off of them. So that's something that I do feel like we got to, collectively, those who are doing it the right way, who are operating in Iwa Pele, we need to kind of figure out a way that we can kind of, I guess, handle or address those who are doing it the wrong way so that
Right.
we don't have our people being fed off of or being taken advantage of by those predators.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a few of them out there too. So yes, you're so
Hmm.
right about that. And you know what? You know it's funny because I think I ran across a YouTube video not too long ago where they had Japanese people that was doing FIFA readings, right? I was like, well,
Wow.
I'll be damned. But you know,
Yeah.
I always said there was a connection between Japan and Igbo, right? Some of the words are the same, but it's just interesting how even the Asians are coming back to the traditions as well. So yeah, yeah. But okay, keep it moving on, keep it straight. Now I do know that there's a lot of these young people out here that get into IFA, but they're getting into IFA in the wrong. Well, I'm not gonna say the wrong way because it's good that they're discovering it, but
Hmm.
they're watching the celebrities. I think what's his name, the first one that was start wearing his IFA beads, and everybody started following him. Not Future, not Future. What's his name? Yeah,
Uh,
what's his name?
Lil
21
Meech.
Savage. No, so 21 Savage.
Oh, okay.
21
Yeah, yeah,
Savage.
yeah.
So after I noticed after everybody seen him wearing it, now all of these young people are into IFA, but like you said a little bit earlier, some of them are not dealing with the traditions properly, especially here in Atlanta. Okay. Some of them
Hmm.
are disrespecting it. Some of them are not taking it serious. Some of them don't even know the stories about Ifa, So I'm happy in one sense that they are discovering it. A lot of the young people are coming back to learning about African traditions. And that's one of the things I did this summer when I did the ancestral initiations. I
Hmm.
had all the initiates bring their children because the
Hmm.
children are the next generation. So I wanted to do ancestral calling with all the children. So we did that.
Hmm.
But you know, how do you see them? I mean, how's the energy there with the young folks in Florida? Are they coming into it? Because in Atlanta, everybody's even now. Everybody,
Right.
okay, right?
Hmm.
And they Risa don't even know what the goddamn, Orisa means or what the damn thing, but they got the beats on it. It's called, oh, Lafia. You know what I mean? So, how
Right.
is it in Florida? How's that energy in Florida with the young people, though, with the younger generation?
You know what's funny? That's a tough question to answer because I ain't gonna lie, I don't go out much. I keep my butt in the house and I go, I do what I gotta do for work and for, my family and all that. But what I
Mhm.
will say is I do work in the community as well. And so I have seen, younger brothers who, I've seen they, like a couple of them had on E-days at some of my, speaking engagements or some of my community, events that I was doing on a weekly basis. And, I've seen some at, even like larger events where, I've seen, a few of them. In fact, it's funny, one of them even asked me, he was like, and it was so dope because his question, his question to me was, you got culture? And I looked at him, I said, man, what you talking about? And he looked at me and he kind of looked down at my E-Day. He saw my E-Day on my wrist. He was like, you got culture, don't you? I like, oh, okay, yeah. You talking about E5? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, yeah. I saw he had an E-Day on too.
Uh-huh.
So it was cool, you know what I'm saying? Because he was a young brother who I feel like most people, if they looked at him, and I hate these stereotypes and these stigmas and all that, but I feel like the consensus, if they know what this whole little phrase or term means, YN, they would
Mhm.
consider him to be a YN or whatever you want to call that bullshit. Excuse me, I don't know if we can cuss on it or not, but
Yeah.
that bull stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, but I thought it was cool because I'm like, yo, that's what's up, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we chopped it up, briefly, and that was cool for me. But ultimately, I feel like I would have to say, from my perspective, it's definitely growing, um, overall for sure. And then
Mhm.
in the little bit of times that I am outside or I am working with young people, I have seen some young people that already have been exposed to it. And then, but I've also seen the spark of curiosity from young people who haven't been, and really just based upon, I feel like the way those who move and carry themselves with Iwa Pele or with, the intention of moving with integrity, the energy resonates and they want to know, like, what is this about, or what are those beads, or what is that bracelet, or you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, for those who it's for, I do feel like it's definitely, it's resonating and it's percolating within their minds or their Oris or their spirits, to the point where they're asking questions. They want to know more. So it's definitely, I feel like it's there, and I feel like it's a trend that's trending on the upwards scale, kind of like you said how it is in the A. I wouldn't say that's like how it is up there with y'all, but I
Mhm.
will say, yeah, it's growing. I feel like the young people are interested from a little bit of exposure that I've had to them.
Yeah, they definitely are. I was surprised with my grandson because my grandson, when he was little, he was about 2 years old. I would take him in my spiritual room, and I had a very large spiritual room. I kept everything in there, all my, gods from all my traditions and everything. And he used
Mm,
to come outside and he used to take my horsetail and rise it up and say, "Rise up, sisters." He didn't say
mm,
ancestors, he said sisters.
that's it.
So now he's 16. And what's crazy, he does rituals with us and stuff like that. But
mm,
what surprised me is, like, I think 2 weeks ago, he said, "Nana, how do I do this ritual? Because I need to go back to my old school." I was like,
mm,
"Huh?" I said, "No, what?" I said, "What you say?" I said, "Oh,
mm,
so now you want to do your own little rituals, you know what I mean?" So
mm,
I was surprised, but I was happy because
mm,
he would do, like, I would tell him to come do the offerings with us, the apples with us, or when we would do offerings, and he would come, he would help out, but he wanted to do his own. And then he did another one after that. And said he did his own little petition and stuff like that. And then came up with, "Where's the gin in?" So I could spit the gin out. I was like, "Look at you." So
mm,
I was, deep down inside, I was real excited, right? I was like, "Yeah, we got him." You know what I mean? And then after
mm.
that, I was like, "Okay." But he's 16. So, a lot of the young people here are getting into it. I talked to a lot of I deal with a lot of the young guys, especially the ones that are also locked up. I got a
Mm,
lot of young brothers that's locked up that we deal. We've been dealing with some of them in jail and prison for the last 10 years. And a
mm.
lot of them are also, learning about Ifa. They're teaching it in the prisons now, right?
Get out of here.
Oh
That's what's
yeah.
up.
Oh yeah, they're teaching him. I have one young brother, he was dealing with it before he went in. So, he calls me his spiritual mother. So we did some work with him. He referred another brother. Oh, I told him all about the wishes. They be asking me for the prayers and, Goon prayers, Sango prayer. So they're
Mm,
getting into it heavy in the jail now, especially here in the Georgia. Big time.
mm.
hmm So
Wow,
yeah,
that's
they
what's
are
up.
they are waking up. That's why I asked that question, because here they are. Now, growing up in New York by the way of Africa. In New
Mm,
York, we've seen this all our life. And then, of course, I had an African household because my mother's African, you know what I mean? So,
mm,
we African household, but it was always very prominent in New York, and it wasn't just the Hispanics, it was Africans, it was Dominicans, it was Cubans, it was Puerto Ricans, you know what I mean? So we all always seen this type of, stuff going on in New York. But being here in Atlanta, I've been here since the last 20 something years. I'm gonna say the last 2 years is when I seen it like pop up the most, where everybody's into E for now.
Mm.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
nah, that's real. And I'm a what's even more dope about it is I was just doing some research I think last year in regards to like I'm a big Pac fan, right? So I love Pac, always have, always will. But I remember doing some research on him last year, and in the process of doing that, the Dear Mama documentary came out, and it was a dope documentary, by the way. And I was watching it, and I remember seeing a part where Ibatanu Queen Afeni, his mother, was rocking Ilekes. She had on a SU Ileke, the red and black, and then she had on a Rumela Ileke with green and brown, the traditional one. And it was dope to me because I'm like, yo, I never knew that, they were into the religion or to the culture or what have you, but I
Yeah.
wasn't surprised by it. So I did a little deeper, deep dive on it. So I ended up making like a podcast about that because to me, I'm like, yo, we have no idea how far, this tradition and this culture, has stretched and like the tentacles in which where it's reached, and who it's reached. You know what I mean? So it's like, and if you don't know, you don't know. But for me, that was dope to see her rocking Elekes because that kind of gave me a sense of, I guess like verification that, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or, whatever the case may be, because in the eyes of the creator, we just children anyway. We ain't nothing
Right.
more than a grain of sand on the beach. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. But
That's right.
I feel like if we are working towards elevating and towards expansion, especially when it comes from a cultural perspective, and we're working in a path and in a line like or alignment with, elevating and expanding the consciousness or the healing or the help or the empowerment of our people, then, I feel like that's when the creator kind of snatches those chosen ones or those stars, like i.e.
That's
stars of the
right.
shrine, you know what I mean, to do that
Exactly.
work because they know that they can trust those to do that work because they know that they've kind of like shown or proven, the ability to be obedient, but not just that, but the ability to execute on the information that they're receiving.
Well, what's crazy? Just like you said, I was sitting here, and this is no word of lie, 2 weeks ago, and then since it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm usually up with doing rituals, and Spirit said, go create a show for the celebrities, right?
Hmm.
Now, I've worked with several celebrities.
Hmm.
I've read for Erica Badu. I've read for Common. I've read for a lot of celebrity, Ayanna Van Sant. I read for a few celebrities years ago, Pat Williams, and I used to promote for Eddie Griffin. I was his promoter. But the
Hmm.
crazy thing about it is that all of them are spiritual, right?
Hmm.
But a lot of them hide behind, being a celebrity or a star.
Hmm.
So Spirit said because they are now coming out of the Hollywood energy, that
Hmm.
we need to create a platform for them to, start talking about their journey in spirituality.
Hmm.
So
Ashe.
that's why I created. I'm telling you, I was sitting there spitting. I said, wait a minute. I said, okay, so you want me to create a show for the celebrities. Now, I have, like I was telling you earlier, a few of the celebrities I'm going to bring on, I'm working on bringing on is Little Meech. He's a Babalawo. Michael B. Jordan's a Babalawo. Barbara Whitaker is a Babalawo. Malik Yoba used to be a Babalawo. I think he still is. So you have a lot of celebrities and now that are coming out sharing their experiences, but they need a platform to speak on because besides being a so-called star, which I say we all stars, and you say that too, they are human beings that have spiritual experiences and also have journeys and have to work and do work now. So you a Babalawo, you better get to involved and start doing your effort. You know what I mean? Start doing the spiritual work. You got to help the communities. You know what I mean? So that's why I created this, but it's not just a platform for them. Like we are into it. We do this all the time. We do this every day. But they're coming into it, so now they have to be guided, and that's where me and you come in with our shows. Okay? So yeah, that was one of the reasons why this show was created. But I want to ask you this because I got class after this.
Hmm.
We got the class after this. I want you I want you to give the listening audience
Hmm.
a blessing or piece of advice on
Hmm.
your journey with African spirituality.
Hmm. Hmm. Gotcha. Man, look, I'm gonna go right to one of my. I think I heard it from Les Brown. He said all you need is one pitch, and when you master that one pitch, that's all you need. Some people got a curveball, some people got a changeup, some people got a fastball, but you need to work on that one pitch to master it and execute that one pitch. So whenever you in a bind or you in a situation and you got to get that strikeout or you got to get that batter out, that whatever the case may be, paraphrasing for baseball, like you got that one that you can throw that you can always either get a strike or you can get them to get them out of the batter's box. And so for me, the one thing that I feel like to be the most consistent message that I share with people who I work with, or serve in regards to this journey is trust and self. Trusting your intuition, like trusting that calm, still voice, or that calm, still whisper, or that feeling in your stomach when you know something is off, or you know something is wrong, or you know something is right, but you know that you feel that you have not just your internal conscious thoughts, but there's some sort of external or subconscious energy, entity, or communication, whether it's telepathy or whatever you want to call it, that's also there giving you some sort of confirmation of whether or not what you feel feels right or feels wrong, or if it's truth, or if it's lies, if it's real, or if it's fake. Whatever that is, trust it, because that's not going to lead you to the wrong place. It's not going to let you stay in the wrong place. And it damn sure is not going to make you be wrong when you know damn well that you're right. So what I would
I
leave
like
is
that.
like trust that intuition, trust that inner knowing, trust that internal compass or that North Star, whatever that voice is that you know all your life. There's been times when you might have been young where that voice told you not to go and steal that piece of candy from where you stole it, and you stole it and you got your ass whooped. Or, you know what I'm saying? It might be the time when they told you not to mess with that dude, but you wanted to mess with him anyway because he was fine and sexy and all that. But then he messed around and he you know what I'm saying? I hope he didn't whoop your ass, but you know what I'm saying? He gave you something where life kind of like, you felt that. You
Mhm.
know, something told you not to do it. So whatever that it is for you, I would say work on trusting and building and strengthening that relationship with that it, that internal, you know what I'm saying, that voice, that internal dialogue, that North Star, that GPS. That's what I would leave that with the people. Like trust you, trust self, trust that inner knowingness, because that's your creator, that's your connection to the creator.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I hope everybody takes that advice and runs with that. And by the way, yes, I was a Pac fan too. People say, "Well, you're from Brooklyn. You should like Biggie." I said, "Nope, but I like Pac better." Okay, so it is what
I
it
would say I
is.
like them both.
But I like
I
them
feel you.
both. I like them both, but I just like
Yep.
the Pac a little bit more. Okay,
Yeah, pop
so
different. Yes, sir.
but they don't know my number one rapper was Nas though. Okay, Nas
I
is
rock
like
with Nas too.
yeah
Yep.
all day long. So with saying that, I do want to thank you for coming on. Okay, and we didn't even get into the part of what the chieftain comes in. I don't know if you want to
Mm.
talk about that, but maybe we'll have you come back on again because we got class and I gotta finish teaching them how to read with the water and the shells. I wish you would come
Mm.
in there if you can,
Send
but
me the link, man. Send me the link.
okay, I'll send it to you because they, have to practice their reading tonight. But I do again want to thank you for, coming on and sharing your experience and let everybody know where you're at and what, when your show comes on and what you're doing, how they
I
can
share.
find you.
Nah, I appreciate it. Well, I think the easiest way is the YouTube channel African Spirituality Experience. It should pull right up if you go to YouTube and type it in. And then the social medias, I'm on Facebook, Orisa Gbemi, Orisa Gbemi. Instagram, same thing, Orisha Gbemi, but it's an I at the end of Gbemi, so it's two I's because somebody had already took the way it's spelled, but it's Orisha Orishagbemi, and then TikTok. I think it's the same on TikTok too. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I'm working on that social media thing. Like I said earlier in the call, that's not my thing, so I'm working on my mindset and making myself get accustomed to doing it because I know it will help spread the word, spread the message to the people and all that good stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, it's just not my thing. But I'm working on it. But YouTube would be the best way, African Spiritual Experience, or even the website
Well, wait a minute, hold on, because I'm
AfricanSpiritualExperience.com.
trying to put it in it. I put African spiritual experience. Let me put it in the chat. So
Okay,
it's African
Spirituality Experience. In fact, if I
Okay.
could put it in there, I'll go ahead and copy and paste it too.
Yeah, put it in
Um,
there for me because I'm on the
okay.
phone and it's all tiny. Athens
Let me see if I
to
can pull it in there.
spirituality experience.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on one second. I hope y'all. I don't know if I can hear that or not. I'm trying to get the music is playing in my ear, but I'm gonna put it in there now. But yeah, and and that'll be the way that y'all can connect with me because I got the link tree in there too, so all the links are connected to the link
Oh,
tree.
okay, good. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, there we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it should be in there.
I see it. It came up.
I should.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on, and we're definitely gonna have to, bring you back on and talk about your chieftaincy because a lot of people don't know that about you, do they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I take pride in letting the work speak, man. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the chieftaincy and all that. But I feel like for me personally, because we spoke about this earlier. Like some people, I think they take those things and they like try to use that in the form of kind of making themselves like they're on an island unto themselves, or they're better than other people. And
Yeah.
that's something that I take pride in not doing. Like I ain't better than nobody else, and I appreciate those accomplishments and ceremonies, but it doesn't make me better, and the damn sure don't make nobody else because they might have more or bigger ones
Right.
than me, better than me either. So,
Well,
the
when
the, the
people
work speaks.
see not to cut your wisdom, when people understand what a chief does, a chief just makes sure he governs the community. So
I
when you
sure.
have a chief, that's what you do. You're governing community. It doesn't mean you're better, you're higher. And see, that's
Yep.
why people need to really study African spirituality into its full depth.
Yes.
And they'll
Yes.
understand what these titles mean, right?
Right.
Because some people do take it to their head, but they need to shut it down because all you're doing is governing the community and making sure you chief that community. So
I sure.
don't worry about what they say. But on that note, I love you, my brother, and I will see you soon. And I want to
Likewise.
thank for everybody coming in. And also, I want to say thank you for listening to the Stars of the Shrine, where fame meets spirit, where stories become testimony, and where we honor the ancestors through our voices of today's stars, which is everybody. All right.
I
On
sure.
that note, have a good night. Blessings,
I
family.
sure. Odabo.